Welcome back to the channel. On today's episode we're going to be doing part 2 of the Beta Evo fan sensor fix. Okay, so just a few bits and pieces that we'll be using for the job today. So we've got the new sensor that's come through from Beta. That's the part number, and that suits from models 2017 onwards. There is a slight change at 2017 when they changed the stator. Screwdriver, 8mm socket with a runner, circular pliers, a pair of pinchers just to cut the old cable ties. Got some new cable ties, bottle to catch the coolant. We've got some new coolant, bit of silicone spray, and a bottle that I use to actually refill the radiator. So yeah, so let's get started. Okay, so there's the sensor on the radiator that we need to replace. To me it looks quite fiddly to get to. You can probably get to it without taking other things apart, but what I'm going to do is take the radiator off. Then I can get to everything nice and easily and have a good look around in there, and put it back on, and hopefully that will fix it for us. So let's have a look, see what we do. Okay, so to remove the radiator, firstly I'm going to drain the coolant, but then just two little hoses on each side, both at the bottom. We'll undo both of those. We've got two little M8 bolts just in the front there, so we'll undo those, and then we'll just release the fan and the sensor wiring. Just undo that. It's a couple of cable ties, and there's a little clip under there. Not sure if you can see that, but there's a little clip under there that you just need to tease the wires out from underneath without bending it, so you don't snap it off the frame. Then we should be able to get the fan out onto the bench, and then we'll take the sensor out. Okay, so we're just going to release the wires so we can take the fan off and the sensor. There's two wires that come up from those, trace those back through the frame. There's this one here, which is the actual power feed to the fan itself. This one here, which is the sensor wire, which we were playing around with last time. So we just need to undo this P-clip, and then we can release this wire, undo the clip, and then unplug that and feed all that back through, so then that's all the wiring free. Okay, so that's our wires released. We can now drain the coolant and start to take the radiator off. Okay, so we've just drained our coolant. Just slacken the top cap there, and undo this screw here. It's a size 3 Phillips head or JIS screwdriver if you've got one. Slacken that off, drain that out, and coolant is all empty, so we can now take the radiator off. So we've got two screws here with bolts, and then the two hose clamps. Just tease those off, and we should be able to just take the radiator out of the front there. Okay, so we've undone the hoses onto the radiator. They can be a bit tight to get off, so just carefully take your time with those. I usually just put a little bit of silicone spray on them to release them. And then you should be able to just pull the radiator forward, and it should just drop down and pull out. There's our radiator. Still got a bit of yuck in it, so clean that out. and here is our sensor, so we can get to that nice and easily in that position on the bench. Swap that over and then start to put things back together. Okay, so here's our radiator. Cables just run under this section here and under this here, so I'll release those. Here's our circlip. I've just sprayed a little bit of silicone spray in there just to release the circlip. I haven't actually pulled that out yet, but we'll take that out in a moment, and yeah, hopefully the sensor just eases out carefully to replace it. Okay, so as I had feared, these little sensors are quite tricky to get out, so I tried very carefully to tease it out. I silicone spray around it, everything, and yeah, really tricky to get out, just wouldn't come out. So and that's caused by the O-ring that's on it locking into the groove in the radiator casing. So yeah, so anyway, not normally something I'd like to do, but used a tech screw in there just to get some leverage with some multi-grips, just so I can get a firm grip on it, and it's come loose. So better take that out, clean it up, and then start to put the new sensor in and start putting it back together. So there's our old sensor that's come out. Just need to go just slightly into that brass part there, but anyway, that's come out easily now. O-rings are actually quite hard, so time for replacement. So we'll clean up the shell and start putting that back together. So we've cleaned the radiator up and we've got the new sensor ready to go in. I've just put a tiny little bit of silicone grease on that. I'm hoping that might make it a little bit easier to go in. So we'll see how we go. Yep, so that pushed in really easy, actually. Really pleased with that. And as you can see the O-ring groove there. So we'll just clean that excess grease out, and then we'll put the circlip on. Okay, so there's the fan, all back on, all the new wiring on. I'll just put the cable ties on. I haven't quite cut them down short yet. I'll wait till I've got it all back in, just to make sure the wires sit all nice and snug and not pulled tight or chance to wear on anything. So so next job is to put the radiator back in the bike. Okay, so we'll pop the radiator back on. Really easy, just slides it, just sort of slots in there. There is a peg here at the top, just pushes up into the grommet, and just make sure that that locates. And then probably find the hose just get in the way slightly. Just start them off on the right journey there, and that just pushes back like that. That's in. I've left this off at the moment deliberately, just to show you something in a moment. So that's all there, that's ready to go. Just pop the little bolts in. These don't need to be very tight. Just nip them up. Make sure that's all properly as it is. I'll just make sure there's no track wires on the other side. That all looks good. Nice hoses are just pushed on, so I'll put the hose clamps up shortly. Okay, so that's done. Got the two hoses to go on. The left side one on. Try and get these back in the same spot as when we used hoses. That one. Let's do the other side. They're both tight. All right. I haven't connected the wires up yet, but I'm just going to point out the overflow breather on the cap. So what I like to do on these is just run them down the left hand side of the bike. Then if it does happen to overheat, the water goes, or the steam goes, water goes down onto the exhaust pipe and you see the steam, so it just alerts you a bit earlier. So we'll connect that up. I think I might actually need a longer bit of pipe, but we'll see how we go. So hopefully it'll just go through there, which I should have put that in before we connected that up. There we go. We'll just run that through there. I'll just pop that screw back on that one. I just did that just to show you there, but we'll put the screw back in there, sits down there. So if you do get overflow, it just goes straight down onto the exhaust. We'll do a little bit longer hose, there we go. And then it gives you a bit of an alert that, that you got a problem, but hopefully we don't have a problem. So there we go. All right, we'll keep going. Okay, so here we go. We're just going to put the wires back in and fed them back up through the frame. We'll put this one in first. So that was on there, that goes on there. Put those wires around that there. Make sure that's all fits nice. We'll just plug that one in. Fix that one. Set that under there, in there like that. That's our new sensor. That's there. And there like that. So I'll put the seat on. We've just got to top the coolant up. I'll probably just put some distilled water through it first. I just want to flush it through, just make sure it all works before I put coolant in it. And we'll see what happens next. All right, so we're going to fill up the cooling system. I'm just going to put some distilled water in it to start off with, just to run it up and flush it through. So I just want to flush it and make sure it's all working okay. Then I'll drain that again and then refill with coolant. So when you fill a Beta, you put them up at an angle so that you get the air out. There is a bleed screw on the top of the cylinder head, so we'll just undo that. That just lets the air out the top of the cylinder head. Little 8mm screw. Just need to slacken it off a bit. Normally just don't screw these enough just to let the water come out from the air. Take it right out just to be sure. There we go. So I just use these bottles, run the pipe right down, then you can just squeeze it and control it. So a really easy way to fill your coolant. Just take your time. There we go, so we've got water coming out the top of the head. Should be okay there. Just put a little bit more in just to let that flow through. There you go. It seems to be coming out okay. Squeeze the hoses a bit. Okay, so we just pop the screw back in. The bleed screw. It's actually a special screw. It's got a little flat on it there, which is just to help you bleed it. Well, I did take it right out just to show you there. So we'll make sure we get that back in carefully without cross-threading it. Or just tighten the bolts up by hand first with your fingers, then you know they're not cross-threaded. And it just needs a slight nip. It's on a washer. That's plenty. Okay, so then we'll keep filling till it comes out the top, and then we'll just suck a little bit back slowly. As you can see, these bottles are really make it really easy. Hit the top then, probably just about there. A little bit more, squeeze the pipe again, just get a little more air in there. The tap. Right, so we know we're full, so what I'll do is I'll just suck a bit back. Just let the pressure off. You can squeeze it up, use it like a vacuum. There we go. So pop the cap back on, and then we'll start it up and get it up to temperature, see what happens. Alright, let's give it a go. Okay, so we started the bike up, got it up to temperature, and the fan is working as it should do. So I'll just start it up again and I'll show you. So that's all working fine. We've checked for leaks. There's no leaks on the hoses or where the new sensor's fitted. So a successful fix. All I need to do now is just drain that distilled water out where we've flushed the cooling system. I'll drain that, refill it with coolant, and away we go. Okay, so there we are, all the coolant replaced, all ready to go for tomorrow's trial. Now, one other little handy hint we've got for you. You may remember in part one I was using a piece of wire to bridge the fan sensor wire. Well, we've now got a fan sensor wire, so with a nice plug on, so all we need to do on that is perhaps cut it off a bit shorter, join the two wires together, and then something to keep in your toolbox or your bum bag for a trial. If you ever get a sensor fail during a trial, you can just plug that in and your fan will be on all the time. So yeah, many of the Scottish 6 days riders carry one of those just as a safety measure. So yeah, if you do replace your sensor, keep the old wire and yeah, convert it, just join the wires together, and then a standby repair in need for a trial, or if you want to test your next sensor if you think that's failed. So yeah, anyway, handy hint. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed that. It's great to see it all working again and all ready for the trial tomorrow. If you like trials and you have the odd jobs to do on the trials bikes now and again, yeah, please do like and subscribe. I've got a number of other videos coming up on betas, also on TY Pinkies, TY 175s, and a couple other bikes as well. So yeah, please do like and subscribe, and feel free to comment in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.